Hello, and welcome to this presentation on Lincoln Electric's strategic expansion in India. We will evaluate the different expansion options available to Lincoln Electric, focusing on strategic decision-making. Cynthia Silva and myself make up our team called the Profit Profits. In this presentation, we will explore the key challenges and opportunities that the company faces as it aims to grow its presence in a new market. Let's get started. Here, we look at the overview of Lincoln Electric. Lincoln Electric is a prominent manufacturer in the welding, equipment, and consumables industry. The company is evaluating an expansion into the Indian market following its success in other countries. There are two major questions about how to best approach expansion in India. Lincoln Electric is a leading company known for its innovation in welding equipment and consumables. After successfully expanding operations globally, including in China, Lincoln Electric is now considered an expansion into India. This decision presents both challenges and opportunities, and the company needs to determine the best approach for entering the growing market.
Thank you, Douglas. Next, we're going to talk about strategic questions for expansion. Good evening, I'm Cynthia. Here are the two key strategic questions driving Lincoln Electric's considerations for India. The first question is, how can Lincoln Electric ensure they retain the ability to make key business decisions while expanding into the Indian market? So Lincoln has a couple of options for entering the Indian market. One way is to form a venture, and the other is to build its own plant. If Lincoln decides to go with a joint venture, it's important that they keep enough control over the key business decisions. This means structuring the partnership in a way that gives them leverage over strategic areas like growth, priorities, and operations. It's also important to choose a partner who aligns well with Lincoln's long-term goals, similar to what they aim for in China, so they can avoid conflicts, especially when it comes to decisions about growth strategies like balancing volume versus profitability. The second question is, if Lincoln were to build its own plant in India, would the associated costs be justified by the benefits of having complete operational control? Well, building a new plant would give Lincoln full control over their operations, which means they could implement their business model without having to make compromises. The benefits here are pretty clear. Things like maintaining consistent production standards, aligning business strategies more effectively, and having direct control over management. But it's also important to weigh the costs that come with building a new plant. This includes the expenses for setting up infrastructure, dealing with regulatory requirements, and training local staff. All of that has to be balanced against the value of having total control over operations. In China, Lincoln had to navigate some big challenges, like finding skilled local managers and dealing with bureaucratic obstacles. And those are things they should consider as they make their decision for India. These questions are crucial for Lincoln Electric to think about before deciding on the best approach for expanding. Back to you, Douglas.
Great pieces there, Cynthia. And now lessons from the China expansion. First, we talk about the initial strategy, the joint venture in China. We talk about the challenges, conflicting business objectives between Lincoln and its partner delayed decision-making. And then we talk about the adaptation, the shift to majority-owned operations to regain control and align strategies. Lincoln Electric's expansion into China serves as a key learning experience for the Indian market. Initially, the company entered China through a joint venture, but conflicting objectives with its local partner delayed crucial decisions. This experience led Lincoln to shift towards majority-owned operations, which offered greater strategic control. The lessons learned in China could be pivotal in forming a strategy for entering India.
Ensuring decision-making ability. In this slide, we're going to talk about answering question 1. This involves maintaining decision-making control. Lincoln can ensure decision-making control by opting for majority ownership or structuring a joint venture with well-defined terms. Let's remember their experience in China. Conflicting control in joint ventures cause inefficiencies. The key strategy involves aligning partner objectives and ensuring majority control. If Lincoln Electric wants to keep control over decisions while expanding in India, they could either go for majority ownership or set up a joint venture with very careful structuring. Their experience in China showed that not having enough control led to a lot of inefficiencies. That's why making sure there's alignment with local partners and aiming for majority ownership is so important if they want to avoid those same challenges again.
Great points. And then now the options for the India expansion. As mentioned, we have the options for entering in India. The option one will, of course, be the joint venture. Has both its pros and its cons. The pro being the lower costs and, of course, the local expertise. The con being the potential conflicts and the reduced control. And then there's option two of building an entirely new plant. The pro being, of course, the full operational autonomy, and the con being the high upfront investment and local regulatory challenges. There are two primary strategies, and these two. A joint venture allows, of course, for cost sharing and access to local market knowledge. But as I mentioned, it could lead to conflicts over control. On the other hand, the second option, building the new plant provides full operational autonomy, as I mentioned, but albeit with a substantial initial investment and challenges such as navigating complex regulatory requirements. Back to you, Cynthia.
Okay, evaluating cost versus total control. In this slide, we're going to answer question number 2. We know that direct costs involve high initial investment in plant construction, regulatory compliance, and staffing. Benefits include quality assurance through direct control and the flexibility in pursuing strategic goals without external limitations. The considerations from China are that obstacles in China regarding control underline the potential benefits of full ownership in India. Building a new plant in India would definitely come with a lot of costs, things like construction and dealing with regulatory requirements. But the upside of having full control could make those costs well worth it. With complete control, Lincoln can maintain consistent quality and have the flexibility they need to adjust their strategy. The lessons they learned from expanding in China suggest that full ownership might just give Lincoln the autonomy they need to succeed in India. Back to you, Douglas.
Perfect. Thanks, Cynthia. Now I want to talk about the human resources. The human resources and, of course, the incentives and the considerations. So Lincoln's incentive systems have contributed to operational success. There's adapting incentive programs for India employees could improve productivity. And of course, there's potential cultural differences that may require adjustments in incentive structures. Lincoln Electric's human resources practices, particularly in its incentive programs, have been key to its operational success. Implementing similar incentive systems in India could help maintain productivity, but Lincoln must also adapt to these programs to fit cultural expectations and the differences in the Indian labor market.
Next, we're going to review the challenges and opportunities in the Indian market. The challenges? High startup costs for a new plant and a complex regulatory landscape. The opportunities? A growing welding market driven by infrastructure projects and the potential to become a market leader by leveraging existing expertise. Expanding into India comes with its fair share of challenges and opportunities. On the one hand, there are definitely some big obstacles, like high costs and complex regulations. But on the other hand, the welding market in India is growing fast, especially with all the infrastructure development happening. This growth could be a huge opportunity for Lincoln Electric to step in and become a market leader.
Definitely. And then now we move on to our recommendations for expansion strategy. So we have, of course, our suggested approach, building a plant with sole ownership. The reasons why you have your autonomy in operations, the consistency in maintaining standards across global operations, which is a key piece and a key reason for this suggested approach. And then after analyzing these options, of course, this is really the best option to pursue construction of course, the exclusively owned manufacturing plant in India. This approach allows India to maintain its complete control, as mentioned, and align production quality with its existing standards, and execute strategic decisions without the partner interference. Given the lessons that we learned in China, having direct control seems to be the most effective way to ensure a successful expansion and avoid the potential conflicts for Lincoln Electric.
So let's summarize this and review our key takeaways. For question 1, our key takeaway is that maintaining majority control is essential for smooth decision-making. For question 2, our key takeaway is that costs of building a plant are justified by the benefits of complete control. Our final insight: balancing costs with strategic benefits is key to effective global expansion. Let's wrap this up. Lincoln Electric really needs to make sure they have majority control if they want to make effective decisions in India. Building a new plant is definitely a big investment, but the autonomy it gives makes it worth it. When it comes to expanding globally, success often depends on finding the right balance between the initial costs and the long-term benefits of having full control.
Perfect. Yes, on behalf of the Profits, that was Cynthia Silva, and I'm Douglas Silva. Thank you for your attention throughout the presentation, and we hope there are a lot of strong takeaways from Lincoln Electric.
Thank you.
Thank you.